Alright. Welcome back to all of my tiny tots, little ones, big kids, tweens, teens, everyone in between, CGs, flips, and adults. I've decided to work in reverse order, although we won't be starting at we won't be reading chapter 63 today because I still haven't finished it. Anyway, this first one is with Gchlatt and Little Slimecicle. So, I hope you'll enjoy. Snuggle up, get comfy, and just relax and listen, Limbo is a pain, and being in limbo was pain. Gchlatt sat on the bench outside of the train station, almost empty bottle in hand. These tracks had been empty for years. A low rumbling could suddenly be heard. Glad's eyes widened. A new resident? After this long? Why now? What had happened? The train pulled to a stop after 15 minutes, a boy stepping off. He was about 5'7", if Gchlatt had to guess. His hair light brown, dusted with bits of green goo. Charlie? Gchlatt questioned. Little asked, looking over at the other. How'd you get here, bud? Gchlatt asks, standing up and setting his bottle aside. Slimecicle shrugs, not really remembering how he came to be here at this point. Gchlatt slowly approaches the little, kneeling before the younger, wrapping his arms around the other. The little slowly melts into the other's embrace, returning the affection by wrapping his arms around the older. Gchlatt hoists the little up into his arms, a gentle smile crossing over his features as he notices the little's hand gravitating towards his mouth. Gchlatt digs around in his pocket for a moment and pulls out a spare adult pacifier, carefully slipping into the little's mouth. Slimecicle hums at a small thanks behind the passy as he rests his head on the older's shoulder. It's alright, bud. I'll still be here when you wake up, Gchlatt murmurs as the other closes his eyes. Gchlatt starts to hum a soft tune under his breath, slowly walking around, luring the little into sleep and sweet dreams. After around 20 or so minutes, the little had fallen asleep. Gchlatt wandered down the train tracks to the place he had come to know as home, a small building with 2 stories. He entered, quietly shutting the door behind himself as he did so. He carried the little up the flight of stairs to the 2nd floor, opening the door to the spare bedroom. He entered, laying the little down on the bed and tucking him in. He turned on a small nightlight and left the door open as he left the room, whispering a soft good night, Bubs, sleep well, as he exits back down the stairs into the living room. In said living room, Gchlatt lays down on the couch, rubbing at his eyes exhaustedly as he picks up the TV remote, turning the TV on and mindlessly flipping through the channels. Chapter 61, B-Duo, CG Ranboo, Little Tubbo. It was a late morning when Tubbo's mind started going fuzzy as he ventured out into the flower field with his stuffed bee, Honeysuckle. He sat down in the grass, careful not to crush any of the flowers, and stared up at the sky, watching the clouds go by. He slipped his passy into his mouth, his mind getting smaller and smaller until it stopped at around 2 years old. He knew lunch would be ready soon, and that his CG would come get him once it was, but for right now he wanted to just enjoy the late morning sunlight that shone down on his pale skin. He saw bumblebees fly past, his mind focusing on just them for a moment. He smiled, pointing to them as he babbled to himself. Look, Honeysuckle, Deus choose family. Tubbo babbles excitedly. Honeysuckle sat in Tubbo's lap, gazing after his family with an almost sad smile on his face. He enjoyed being with Tubbo more than he would ever want to be a part of that fake family. Tubbo hugged Honeysuckle close as if reading the Stuffy's mind. Don't be sad, Honeysuckle. Choo still got me and Papa, Tubbo exclaims happily as he gives Honeysuckle a kiss on the top of his head. Dear, I'll bow, Tubbo says as he lays on his back in the flower field, staring up at the clouds. Look, Honeysuckle, a bear. Tubbo mumbles, his free hand stretching towards the sky, pointing to a bear-shaped cloud. Ranboo walks into the field a few minutes later, following the voice of his little as he goes along. He quickly finds Tubbo laying down in the grass, lightly dozing. "Bee, hun, it's time to get up and go eat some lunch," Ranboo murmurs quietly into his husband's ear. Papa?" Tubbo asks, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Ranboo smiles, picking his little up and resting the other on his hip. "That's me, bud." "That's me, Bug," Ranboo answers quietly. Tubbo smiles and giggles, hugging Ranboo around the neck. Honeysuckle is gripped in the crook of his arm, joining in their hug whether he wanted to or not. "Let's go home and get some food," Ranboo says, walking out of the field and back towards their house. Chapter 63, CG AweSamDude, Little George Not Found. Okay, for this one, for Sam, I'll be using he, him, his, and they, them, their pronouns. "Juice," George cried out, banging his cup against the table. "Not until you finish your mac and cheese, kiddo," Sam answers tiredly. "Juice, please," George yells again. "No, bud, not until you finish your food," Sam answers again, sighing lightly. Another 20 minutes pass, Sam and George still sitting at the table, the little plate sitting before them. "Juice!" George yells. "Strike one, kiddo," Sam warns. "Juice, please," George answers, holding out his cup to Sam. Sam sighs. "No, kiddo, but thank you for asking so nicely." George huffs, taking another bite of his mac and cheese. "Juice now, please," George says. "2 more bites," Sam answers. George pouts, but reluctantly eats another 2 bites as Sam fills his cup with grape juice. He returns a moment later, cup of juice in their hand. "Thank you, kiddo. Thank you for..." "Oh, here you go, kiddo. Thank you for finishing your lunch for me," Sam says. "Thankoos," George answers, a small smile playing across his face as he takes a sip from his juice. Sam smiles and takes the dirty dishes away off the table, bringing them to the sink and running water to do them. "Nap time, kiddo," Sam says quietly, hoisting the little out of his high chair after turning the faucet off. "Stoolie?" George asks, using his best puppy dog eyes. "Okay, bud, 1 story," Sam answers, a small smile crossing his features. That is all for today, my tiny tots, little ones, big kids, tweens, teens, everyone in between, CGs, flips, and adults. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!